Is this the Arab Spring? Trailers from an anti-Islamic film released on the internet have sparked protests and acts of violence and terrorism. Muslims say the video clips mock the Prophet Muhammad, and they have raised the ire of the Arab world. Fanaticism has now seemingly replaced a desire for reforms. Security officials around the world are concerned, including in Germany.
There's great potential for emotionalization among Salafists. That means that if the film was screened publicly here, or if caricatures of Muhammad were printed in German newspapers, we can't rule out that there would be acts of violence in Germany as well as against German interests abroad.
Such as against the German embassy in Sudan, which was stormed by an enraged mob. The protests are aimed at anything Western, anything perceived to be anti-Muslim. The film provides the excuse.
The main question is really to what extent violent people are using this film as an instrument of mobilization. We saw that with the cartoon controversy. That topic was important for years afterwards, and activists were even able to use it to recruit young people for terrorist attacks.
These images continue to spark rage in the Islamic world. German Chancellor Angela Merkel honoring Kurt Westergaard, the artist who drew the controversial Mohammed cartoons. That was 2 years ago, and Merkel continues to stand by her opinion from then. There's no question of banning works like that, she says, and the current wave of protests won't change that.
What it's about here is a belief that we all hold in common. We say that violence is not a valid reaction to disagreeable publications or videos or the like. It's not a legitimization. That is our common belief, and I also committed myself to that then.
But on the internet, fundamentalist Islamic circles, including some based in Germany, have made no secret of the fact that they consider violence to be an effective means of achieving their goals.
Bis die Flagge, über Vatikan, über Amerika, über die ganze Welt nicht gegessen wird, gibt's keine Ruhe.
Exhortations like that are popular at the moment. Security officials think it's a homegrown problem. German extremists and their anti-Islamic demonstrations are especially provocative to fundamentalist Muslims.
From the point of view of our domestic intelligence service, the right-wing populists, or right-wing extremists, even if they're basically simply making use of their right to freedom of speech, are provoking the Salafists. And because of that, these Salafists are prepared to carry out acts of violence.
Nearly 40 of them have come to Egypt. The German Salafists will travel on train for the jihad. But in spite of extremists like this, the majority of German Muslims want to have nothing to do with terrorism.
Use violence because of this film and its content? No. Violence is not actually part of this religion. It's simply misused by certain schools of thought.
Like that promoted by Hezbollah. The spiritual leader of the militant Islamic group has threatened catastrophic consequences if the Mohammed film continues to be shown. Hundreds of thousands cheered him on. Is this the Arab Spring? Perhaps expectations were too high.
No one could expect that the region would now enter a period of peace and democracy. It was clear from the beginning that from the moment the population emancipated itself, there would be problems for Western governments.
I think many people misjudged things, although the security authorities in Germany and Europe, and certainly our American friends, were very realistic. There are dark sides, even where there's light, and now we're seeing the dark side of the Arab Spring.
Extremists will always find reasons to protest loudly and violently, but those protests won't halt political change in the Arab world.